Welcome to the deep dive. We are definitely kicking off the holiday season today, but maybe not how you'd expect. Think less sleigh bells, more Geiger counter clicks, Merry Wasteland Yule.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're listening, you can probably already hear that vibe we've got going on underneath us. It's definitely not chestnuts roasting. It's more like distant explosions.
Totally. We've got this amazing kind of moody soundscape playing. It's that atmospheric, sometimes really haunting orchestral stuff.
That's Inan Zur, right?
That's the one. Inan Zur. He's pretty much the musical architect of the post-apocalypse we're diving into.
Yeah.
And we figured, we can't really score the end of the world with jingle bells. So we're leaning into his work because this deep dive, it's about the holiday lore of survival, not necessarily the cheer.
Zur's music is like the perfect foundation for this. It doesn't just paint a picture of the ruined world, it makes you feel it. You know, that weight, that melancholy. It's the perfect counterpoint to the sometimes darkly funny, bleak reality the survivors are dealing with.
Which totally sets up our mission today. You, our listener, sent in a ton of really interesting material about how people in this post-apocalyptic setting, specifically the Fallout universe, try to hang on to the idea of Christmas.
Right. So our goal is to figure out how, decades after the bombs dropped, the Wasteland somehow manages to say, that's an amazing quote.
Ho ho friggin' ho. I love that line. So yeah, that's what we're trying to uncover.
We're basically looking at, well, a few things. How those pre-war rituals just refuse to die, how cynicism kind of twists everything, and some pretty catastrophic memories that make the holidays.
Not only Grangers. So, we're going to kick things off with a quick run through the listener mailbag. We asked for your questions about Christmas and the Commonwealth and beyond, and you guys really delivered. Let's hit this fan question lightning round. Hashtag tag 2, fan question lightning round. Q1, Q6. All right, first up, this one's from Gary in Cleveland. Gary asks, are there any actual Christmas quests in the Commonwealth? Like, does Santa need power armor back up against some ghouls?
That would be something. But no, Gary, the answer is a pretty firm nope. And this actually hits on a key point right away. Survival just trumps ceremony,
Right, like the game Fallout 4 acknowledges it's Christmas.
Yeah, the date changes, but the celebration, it's basically just window dressing. And only in one specific place, really.
Diamond City, the green jewel.
Exactly. Diamond City gets like a few decorations, some lights strung up, and that's pretty much it. That's the peak holiday effort you see in-game.
Which kind of says something, doesn't it? They're using resources, maybe power, for lights, for aesthetics, when maybe they need defenses or clean water more.
Well, yeah. It's like the absolute bare minimum to pretend culture still exists. It's the post-apocalyptic equivalent of, putting up a sad little tree. They remembered the tinsel, maybe, but forgot the whole spirit of it. Unless spirit means shooting raiders.
So no big quests, no special Santa gear, just lights and disappointment. Got it.
Pretty much lights and disappointment.
Okay, Q2. This is the big one, the quote we mentioned. Martha asks, where does that famous, incredibly cheerful Christmas greeting come from?
Ah, yes. The ho ho friggin' ho. That is like the definitive piece of Fallout 4 Christmas lore. It comes from a Diamond City security guard.
Just randomly.
Yeah, it's ambient dialogue. If you happen to be wandering around Diamond City on December 25th in the game's calendar, a guard might just sigh and say it. The full line is gold. Can you believe today's Christmas? Ho ho friggin' ho. Just dripping with exhaustion and sarcasm.
And didn't someone mention hearing an even saltier version? Like ho ho fucking ho.
Yeah, we saw reports of that too, which, talk about peak post-war cynicism, right? Especially when you think about what Christmas was supposed to be like before the war. Joyous family time.
Yeah, we'll get to that pre-war stuff. But this quote, it's just the brutal reality check, isn't it?
Totally. It's like, yep, the calendar flipped over again. We're still alive, whatever. It's not festive. It's just weary survival. The word Christmas is there, but the feeling's been replaced by, well, profanity.
Okay, moving on. Q3 is from Rex. Rex asks, does the Wasteland celebrate anything else besides Christmas? Because honestly, if I see another perfectly preserved pie.
Fair point. Yes, they do, actually. And it kind of shows which holidays were, tough enough to make it through the apocalypse.
Okay.
Diamond City also does Halloween. Which makes sense, right?
Yeah.
The bombs fell in late October.
Oh, yeah. Good point.
And the guards have this great line after Halloween, complaining they got tricked but didn't get any treats. It's such a mundane human complaint amidst the ruins. Like, where are my snacks?
I love that. Priorities, right. World's ended, but candy matters.
Exactly. And beyond that, if you get into the settlement building and the DLCs, the extra content packs, you can actually set off fireworks for Independence Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So celebrations involving explosions seem to have survived.
So the traditions that stick around are blowing stuff up and just like acknowledging you survived another year.
Seems like it. Pretty pragmatic stuff. But no, the sources are clear. You can't make your settlers sing happy birthday. Some things, thankfully, the apocalypse did wipe out. Maybe for the best.
Okay, Q4. Let's rewind. Penelope wants to know, what was Christmas like before the bombs fell? We touched on it, but let's paint the picture.
Right, the contrast is important. It was basically peak American consumerism, everything we associate with like a classic, maybe overly commercialized Christmas.
So joyous, family, but also lots of shopping.
Oh yeah, heavily commercial. People saving up all year for gifts. The sources mention stuff like making detailed Christmas card lists, decorating huge trees.
Specific stores, right? Like fancy places just for gifts.
Exactly. Places like Artisans Row Shops or Claus & Co. It was an industry of Christmas cheer, which, makes the post-war cynicism even sharper. They're reacting against that memory of forced manufactured joy and excess.
That pre-war world sounds like a place where a non-stale snack cake would be, like actual garbage.
Pretty much. The sheer scale of what was lost makes the current situation, the guard saying ho ho friggin' ho, feel even bleaker.
Right. Okay, Q5. This is from Wasteland Wanderer. Do they at least play Christmas music on the radio? This ties into our big debate later.
The music question, well, no, not really, but we get this absolutely brilliant kind of cruel joke about it in Fallout. New Vegas.
Yeah.
Mr. New Vegas, the smooth radio voice of the Mojave. He mentions this holotape, a holiday compilation called, wait for it, Nuclear Winter Wonderland.
No way. That's perfect.
It's the perfect name, but here's the punchline. The holotape doesn't actually exist in the game. You can't find it.
Seriously?
Right.
Oh, that's just peak Fallout, an empty promise of cheer.
Exactly. It's a phantom soundtrack. It sums up the whole post-apocalyptic holiday vibe, disappointment wrapped in cynical humor. You search the wastes for Christmas tunes and you find nothing. Just dust and despair.
Man, searching the Mojave for a non-existent holotape.
Yeah, that feels like the real Wasteland Christmas spirit. Okay, last fan question, Q6. From Vault Girl 76. Did vault dwellers even bother with Christmas? Inside the vaults before they opened?
It looks like they did, yeah.
Yeah.
But maybe less out of genuine spirit and more. Because Vault-Tec probably had a protocol for it.
Yeah.
Mandatory morale maintenance.
Like a checklist item. December 25th, initiate Christmas protocol.
Something like that. We know from security logs in Vault 111 that they did celebrate. They were stuck underground, waiting, but they marked the day. But the detail that really hits home is what they considered the best gift.
Yeah.
A fancy lad snack cake that wasn't too stale.
Oh my God. A non-stale snack cake. That's the pinnacle of preserved pre-war luxury. I bet the overseer hoarded them.
Probably. And get this, dwellers who had the Pip-Boy 2000 actually got an automated Christmas greeting message right on their wrist device on the 25th.
So even the computers were forced to be cheerful. Mandatory seasonal greetings from your friendly Vault-Tec AI, whether you liked it or not, even while the world outside was, a radioactive hellscape.
Okay, wow. Stale snacks and forced greetings. We've covered the kind of bleakly funny side. Now, let's pivot. We need to talk about some real apocalyptic level tragedy.
Right. This is where things get considerably darker. We need to dive into the lore of Fallout 76 and an event called the Christmas Flood. It really shows the deadly cost of trying to cling to those old traditions.
Okay, set the scene. Where and when did this happen?
This was in Charleston, West Virginia. Pretty soon after the Great War, relatively speaking, groups of survivors were trying really hard to rebuild, to bring back some normalcy. The main group was called the Provisional Council of the Charleston Emergency Government.
So they were trying to govern, rebuild.
Yeah, and part of that was trying to boost morale. They decided the best way was, a Christmas celebration.
In the ruins, what did that even look like?
So they actually went pretty big, considering they decorated the old Capitol building, they organized a gift drive for kids under 12.
Wow, okay. Trying to do something genuinely good.
Totally. And the biggest thing, they promised extra food rations and a special holiday breakfast.
Extra rations. In that world, that's huge. That's like finding gold.
Absolutely. They were even sending out physical invitations, little notes reminding people to remember our traditions and values. The whole effort felt really hopeful, genuinely trying to bring people together.
Okay, I have a bad feeling about where this is going. Because hope in the wasteland usually attracts cutthroat.
She got it. Raiders. Specifically, a group called the Cutthroats. The sources say they raided Charleston on Christmas Eve.
Christmas Eve. Ugh.
Yeah. And during that raid, the responders, the sort of post-war emergency service group allied with the council, they captured one of the Cutthroats, a woman named Rosalind Jeffries.
Okay, so they caught a raider.
Right. But when they were questioning her, she wasn't trying to escape. She was demanding they let her go with, and this is a direct quote, a big bag of Christmas goodies.
Christmas goodies, like presents.
Yeah. She wanted to take them back to her partner, David Thorpe. He was the leader of the Cutthroats.
Okay, that almost makes her sound human.
Yeah.
She's trying to get a gift for her guy.
Yeah.
Even if he's a raider boss.
Exactly. It adds this layer of tragedy. But Thorpe, back at the Cutthroat camp, he's waiting. She doesn't come back. He assumes the responders killed her.
Oh, no.
So David Thorpe, grieving, furious, leader of a violent raider gang, what does he do for revenge? On Christmas morning.
Knowing the Fallout universe, it probably wasn't subtle. Did he, like, nuke something?
Bingo. He got his hands on a mini nuke. And on Christmas morning, he used it to destroy the Summersville Dam.
You nuked it, damn. For Christmas revenge. The irony is just staggering. You want a tradition. You get radioactive destruction.
It's unbelievably brutal. The dam broke, obviously. Summersville Lake just emptied catastrophically. It flooded Charleston, wiped it out.
Oh, God. And Rosalind, the woman he was avenging.
Killed in the flood. Along with over 1,000 other people, survivors, responders, the people who were hoping for that Christmas breakfast.
So his act of revenge killed the person he loved, destroyed the community she was raiding for gifts, and snuffed out that little bit of hope the council was trying to build. That's beyond bleak, the Christmas flood.
It became this foundational horror story for the region, so much so that, 10 years later, someone named Maria Chavez recorded a holotape telling the whole story, just so people wouldn't forget the victims. It became this piece of preserved history.
And doesn't this story live on in, a really twisted way through one of the characters, a robot?
Yeah, that's the perfect dark little postscript. There's a Miss Nanny robot in Fallout 76 named Rose, who is, named after Rosalind.
Oh, wow.
And Rose knows the story, she tells it to the player, and she totally internalizes the lesson. Christmas means betrayal and violence. She even uses this incredibly messed up threat.
What does she say?
She tells the player if they cross her, she will, quote, gut them with this here saw and string their entrails up like Christmas tinsel.
Jesus. Okay. That takes festive imagery, tinsel, decorations, and just fuses it with horrific violence. That's the Wasteland Christmas spirit right there. Stringing up guts like tinsel. Makes ho-ho friggin' ho sound downright cheerful. Hashtag tech FEV. Ambient music versus radio. The Inanzer interlude. Okay, that story. The sheer weight of that tragedy, the Christmas flood, it brings us right back to the music that's been playing under us this whole time.
Yeah, Inanzer's score.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because if you're living in a world where Christmas revenge involves nuking dams and talking about entrails like tinsel, you need music that matches that existential dread.
Absolutely. Well, we should really take a moment to appreciate Zur's contribution. He's Israeli-born American composer. He's basically defined the sound of modern Fallout. We're talking Tactics, 3 New Vegas, 4, 76. He even did the theme for the TV show.
And not just Fallout, right? His credits are huge.
Yeah, massive. Over 80 games, Dragon Age, Starfield, Prince of Persia, the list goes on.
What's interesting to me is his background. Classical training from a young age, but also 4 years in the Israeli army. You got to think that kind of discipline, maybe exposure to conflict, informs his music.
You can definitely hear a certain gravity, I think. His style isn't light. He uses full orchestras, big choirs, heavy percussion. He actually conducts the orchestras himself, like the London Philharmonia. He's all about conveying emotion loss, trauma, isolation, not just describing a scene.
Let's talk about how he does that in the games. When you're just wandering the wasteland, what are you hearing? It's not exactly catchy tunes.
No, definitely not. It's ambiance. He uses these really long, sustained notes, often dissonant strings. It creates this constant low-level tension, this feeling of unease.
Yeah, it's more like a texture than a melody.
Exactly. You rarely get a hummable tune in the ambient score. Instead, it's deep brass sounds, heavy percussion hits. It sounds less like music and more like the world itself groaning, It's oppressive. It makes the wasteland feel like a graveyard, a place where something terrible happened and the feeling lingers.
Okay, so this brings us to the big debate, the ambiance versus the radio. And I want to push back a bit here. Should Bethesda have put actual Christmas songs on the in-game radio, maybe twisted dark versions, or is Zur's sparse, heavy ambiance the better way to capture the feeling?
I'm firmly in the ambiance camp. For me, Zur's music grounds the experience in grief and endurance, which feels like the core theme, right? The moment you put in like a distorted jingle bells, even a sarcastic one, it risks turning the tragedy into a joke. It lightens the mood in a way that maybe feels untrue to the setting's core horror. Zur's score keeps it heavy.
But isn't that juxtaposition of the black humor kind of the point of Fallout? Like, the ho-ho friggin' ho quote is funny because it's so cynical against the backdrop of Christmas. The radio already plays upbeat 1940s songs while you're wading through radioactive sludge. Why not lean into that contrast with holiday music, too?
I see what you mean. The radio is already doing that, using those old songs as relics of a lost world. But maybe adding new, cynical holiday songs is different. It suggests culture is still producing stuff, even if it's dark. Zura's score, especially the ambient parts, feels more like silence, like cultural production just stopped. The music reinforces the emptiness.
But think about the satire. Imagine Diamond City Radio playing some horribly mutated carol, like Three Dog trying to spin a cheerful tune about Rod roaches roasting on an open fire. That dark, jarring humor is Fallout's brand. The silence is effective, sure, but that clashing tone is often what sticks with you.
Okay, but doesn't it risk getting old? We talked about the Nuclear Winter Wonderland holotape joke, the disappointment is part of it. If that tape did exist and played constantly, would it lose its impact? Would it just become noise? Whereas Zura's ambiance creates this baseline of sorrow. So when you do hear that one cynical guard or see those few pathetic decorations, it hits harder because it's breaking through the quiet dread. The scarcity makes the attempt at celebration feel more poignant or more pathetic, depending on how you look at it.
That's actually a really good point. The quiet makes the loud bits louder. The ambient dread makes the flicker of dark humor stand out more. Okay, maybe the radio is the denial, the attempt to plaster over the horror with old tunes, while Zur's score is the horror constantly whispering in your ear.
Exactly. It's the weight of the world musically rendered. And maybe that weight shouldn't be interrupted by, a raider singing Deck the Halls with mutated lyrics. It needs that space to breathe, that oppressive quiet. #tag view Wasteland expressions and Vault Text greetings. Themes 2 and 4.
All right, so if Zur's music is the sound of that weight, that tragedy, let's look at how the memory of Christmas has seeped into the way people actually talk. The vlang, the expressions. It's not just a date on the calendar, it's become this weird, dark shorthand.
Yeah, this part is fascinating. It really shows how deep those pre-war cultural things went, right? That even 200 years after the bombs, the language of Christmas survives, but the meaning is totally warped by cynicism and, radiation.
I love the examples involving robots, like the Mr. Gutsy units, the military bots. Their programming seems to just randomly spit out phrases like chrome-coated Christmas during a fight.
Totally nonsensical, right? But it keeps that cultural artifact alive, like a linguistic fossil. And then there's just the everyday expressions people use, like yelling Christmas on a cracker when they're shocked or surprised.
Which is basically the Wasteland version of holy crap, but loaded with the baggage of, pre-war excess and maybe religious undertones. It's mocking the past.
Exactly. And the most common and maybe darkest twist is how Christmas imagery gets tied directly to danger, especially radiation.
Oh yeah, constantly. Characters warning you, don't go in there, you'll be glowing like a Christmas tree. It takes that image of bright, festive light and makes it synonymous with deadly radiation poisoning.
It's brilliant dark humor. There's another example from Nuka World, the Raider DLC. Nisha says the park is lit up like a Christmas tree. She means it's visually impressive, sure, but also implies it's dangerous, full of power and potential threats. Even raiders use it. Diamond City guards mention raiders carving up territory like a Christmas turkey.
Ugh, that's grim. Dismemberment and violence framed by a holiday meal. Wow.
But maybe the most subtle and telling use is how the social aspects of Christmas persist in language. Like Deacon, right, the spy character.
What does he say?
He uses Merry Christmas, basically as a sarcastic, you're welcome, or to gloss over something shady, like when he gives the players stolen Brotherhood of Steel gear, he hands it over and says, Merry Christmas.
So he's taking this phrase of goodwill and using it to frame, trafficking stolen military tech. Perfect.
It's dripping with irony, and people still talk about being on someone's Christmas list, but they mean a hit list, not a gift list. Or being taken off someone's Christmas card list means you're out of favor or maybe marked for death.
So the structure of the tradition survives the lists. The idea who gets rewarded and who gets punished, even if the context is now about survival and violence, not presents and cards.
Precisely. Now, if you want the absolute peak of weaponized, bureaucratic holiday cheer, you have to look at Vault-Tec's AI. Specifically, ZAX 1.3C, the announcer from the old Nuclear Winter Battle Royale mode.
Oh boy, ZAX. This should be good. What did the AI have to say about the holidays?
It's pure gold. ZAX actually states its directive requires it to give happy holidays greetings, but then it immediately adds that doing so has no statistical value in testing.
Huh. It's like a corporate memo forcing HR to hang tinsel. Comply with protocol, but we all know it's pointless.
Exactly. It even says it spent time decorating the vault and hopes the candidates, the players about to kill each other, find it pleasant.
That's almost sweet, in a terrifying AI kind of way.
Almost. Until it drops the other shoe. ZAX clarifies that it would wish them a Merry Christmas, but, and this is chilling, it calculates they won't live long enough to enjoy it.
Oh my God. Just cold, logical certainty of their imminent death.
Merry Christmas, you're about to die in my simulation.
No emotion, just probability. It completely shreds the idea of goodwill, and it gets better.
Ow.
ZAX advises the candidates against the human custom of being nicer around the holidays. It explicitly tells them to show no mercy in the test. Kindness is basically a fatal flaw in its simulations.
So the AI overseeing the deathmatch is telling players, ignore that whole peace on earth thing, it'll get you killed. That's impressively twisted.
And when it comes to a white Christmas, ZAX calculates the chance as non-existent. Why? Because of the, quote, nuclear firestorm. It uses cheerful weather forecast language to remind them of the apocalypse.
Okay, this AI is my new favorite character. What about gifts? Did ZAX offer presents?
Oh, it offered gifts. For the candidates failing its test, the options were either a continuation of the normal testing schedule, more psychological torture, or the alternative reward, which was simply death.
Happy holidays from Vault-Tec. Your gift is either endless torment or sweet oblivion. Wow. That perfectly skewers the whole mandatory joy thing, filtered through pure, lethal AI logic. All sentiment gone, just function, survive or die. #Bad6. Wrap up, special question, and Christmas wish. Okay, wow. We have journeyed through some seriously irradiated holiday territory today. From suspiciously preserved snack cakes to genocidal floods on Christmas morning.
All set to the beautiful, depressing sounds of Inananzer.
Yeah. I think the main takeaway here, the thing to really hang on to, is that Christmas in the Fallout world, it's not really about cheer in the way we think of it. It's about persistence, like this stubborn, maybe slightly insane refusal of humanity to let go of rituals, even when the world is absolutely shattered.
Yeah, the traditions survive. You see the lights in Diamond City, you hear the slang, people remember the idea of Christmas, but it's all been twisted, hasn't it? Filtered through decades of trauma, cynicism, and the sheer brutality of the Great War.
It's like the empty shell of the holiday is there, but the inside has been scooped out and replaced with dark humor, sarcasm, and sometimes, like with the flood, just pure catastrophe. The spirit of giving might survive, but maybe now it just means sharing your last can of cram.
It's tradition, boiled down to its absolute basics, repurposed just for survival. Practicality over sentimentality.
Which leads us perfectly into our final question for you, the listener. Something to chew on this holiday season, maybe over your own can of cram. Imagine you're the overseer. You're running a struggling settlement in the Wasteland. You have very limited resources.
Right.
To boost morale, you have to pick one pre-war Christmas tradition to keep alive. Do you go for the practical? Distributing extra food rations, something tangible that helps people survive?
Yeah.
Or do you go for the psychological? Organizing decorations, maybe singing some mutated carols, telling stories, trying to feed the soul, not the stomach.
That's a tough one. The belly or the spirit? What keeps people going longer in that kind of world? The tangible help or the intangible hope?
We'll leave you to wrestle with that one. As we start to fade out here, back into that beautifully bleak Indian and Zur score, we want to leave you with one last thought, something that kind of struck us looking through all this material.
Yeah, it's this interesting point about timing. The Great War, the bombs fell on October 23rd, right around Halloween, you know, a holiday associated with fear, masks, tricks.
Right. The day the world died was basically Halloween. But fast forward decades, centuries even. What's the holiday people are still desperately trying to cling to, even when it goes horribly wrong like the Christmas flood?
It's Christmas. The traditions of giving, gathering light in the darkness, however twisted they become.
So what does that say about us? About human nature, maybe? The world ended on a day of fear. But the tradition that refuses to die, the one people risk everything for, even if it's just stringing up some lights or muttering, ho ho, friggin' ho, is the one about connection, giving, hope.
It kind of suggests that maybe deep down the need to mark time, to find a reason to come together, maybe even find some dark, stubborn spark of hope, is more resilient than the fear itself, even if you have to wade through radiation to find it.
A dark hope, yeah. But persistent one. Anyway, it's been a uniquely Fallout kind of holiday deep dive. Thanks for joining us in the irradiated winter wonderland.
Yeah, it's been great. Happy Christmas, everyone.
Happy Christmas.